Hello, hello, hello. Hope I am live. So this is start. It said it started. So I hope I'm live. I am using some streaming app that I am not used to. So hopefully people can join in. If you're here already, let me see you in the comments. All right. So I see a little glare on my glasses. So I'm gonna wipe that off while we wait for people to join. So hello everybody. Thank you for joining. Hey, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. If you guys are here, I'm using this new app that I'm not used to. So just drop a comment. Let me know you're here. Let me know where you're from. I'm here over here clicking buttons and stuff, and I know I shouldn't be while I'm doing this. Maybe I should have tested this out before. But welcome, welcome everybody. If you're new to it, new to this live, if you're new to my channel, let me know who you are, where you're from, if you're a business owner, because I'm going to be dropping some dimes on you today. All right, so I'm going to give it about one more minute. And then I'm going to just jump right into it because, time is money and we don't have time to waste. Those are here. I am glad you're here. I'm glad you made it. I'm glad you're waiting for this information that I'm ready to give you. All right, so I'm going to get started. So I'm freezing on my end. So if I'm freezing on your end, just let me know. But I am Tamara Knows Taxes, and I am going to talk about something very important today. I'm going to talk about why it costs you to be behind on tax time. And this is for our small business owners. This is not about judgment, but this is about something I always see every tax season when I'm dealing with small business owners. So I hope you tuned in. If you're a small business owner, and if this happens to you, I'm here to give you information on why it costs you more at tax time when you're disorganized. So when I say it costs you more to be behind, and when I say behind, I'm talking about your books, your financial books, your bookkeeping. When we say bookkeeping, that means categorizing all your income and expenses and knowing where your money is coming in and where it's going. So you should know this and be organized every month. So when your books are behind, that stuff is usually not categorized, usually don't have a bookkeeping system. Receipts are not tracked. You don't have any accounts reconciled. Your income and expenses aren't categorized. And you have that I'll catch up later thinking mentality. Whereas there's something you shouldn't be thinking about later. There's something you should be thinking about now. And it's also when you're doing everything in your mind. We're all getting older. So when you're saying you're doing stuff in your mind, just remember the things that you forgot about yesterday. Okay. So let's not use our mind to track our income and expenses. So why it costs you more in the long run, it's because when you're a small business owner, you're expected to pay taxes quarterly. So during tax time, when you're filing, you're actually filing late because you haven't paid all of your taxes. So when you file it on after 2025, when the quarter is over, you are considered late. So if you owe any taxes as a small business owner, depending on the amount, you might get an added fee on top of that. So it's important to know, like when you're disorganized, you can actually prevent this from happening when you're organized with your books. It's also you also rushing. If you're not doing tracking this during the year, at tax time, this is when you're doing it. You're tracking all your income and your expenses, which is actually late. So this is when the time when you're usually missing things. You usually missing the deductions that you could have claimed. You're missing some of your receipts that you had expenses for. So if you don't have the receipts, you can't actually claim that on your taxes. So it's important to keep track of all that stuff. You have incomplete records. When someone's doing your taxes, you notice when they're asking you a lot of questions, especially a small business owner, if your tax preparer is asking you a lot of questions, it's because your books are unorganized and there's a lot of questionable things in there. So they have to go back and forth in order to do your taxes right and to prevent you from getting in trouble with the IRS, because we don't want you to claim anything that you're not eligible to claim. And it causes stress. That's another thing, and it costs you when you're unorganized and you're doing all this at tax time. It's very stressful because you are trying to do everything last minute just so you can file these taxes. And when you're filing them, half the time they're not even right. So it helps you to stay organized and to be doing your books on a monthly basis just to prevent this, because we don't need any more stress. As business owners, we deal with a lot of stress already. So why put that on yourself? You want to prevent it. Remember, organization gives you option, but being behind takes them away. And I'm going to say that again. Organization gives you options, but being behind takes them away. So you always want to keep that in mind. You want to have the options to grow, because when your books are in order, you can actually see where your money is going. The reality of the tax season is tax season is not a fix for the year. Tax season is actually when you see when a business owner needs to fix different things in their finances. There are several times when I'm doing taxes and they'll pull their bank statements and they're spending money on things that they didn't even know that they spent it on. So it's very important to make sure that this is not the time that you're catching all these mistakes. You want to catch the mistakes during the year, not at the end of the year. And this is usually when your errors show up. This is when you realize you're paying extra fees that you shouldn't have been paying, the double, maybe you're missing income, double fees, sometimes you're getting double charge on your accounts and you don't even realize it. So these are the things you want to catch. It's easier for someone to take your money out, but it's harder to get that refund from them. So you want to always make sure that you're looking at everything on a consistent basis. And a messy year just lowers your choices. Messy books lowers your choices for anything. So if you wanted to be eligible for grants, when everybody was COVID happened and people had to submit reports for their bank statements, this is the time. This is what got them caught up, because you weren't doing everything. So it limits their choices and everything. So you want to make sure that you're eligible for these grants, or you're eligible for these payments that the government is giving out in case something happens. Because if you don't have the information to support this, you can't even do it. And why being prepared it saves you is because it lowers your prep costs. When you actually doing your books, it's easier to do your taxes on your own. I do taxes, but I also teach people how to do taxes on their own, because if you're doing your books, everything becomes very manageable. There's tools there to help you. You know where you're putting everything in, so it's easier to track everything. And it's less back and forth with a tax preparer if someone is doing your taxes. Like I said before, if you're unorganized, you're going to have a lot of questions, your unanswered questions. And if you can't answer that, and it looks questionable, of course it's going to look questionable to the IRS as well. So you don't want to put anything questionable on your tax return. So you want to make sure that you have all the correct information and that everything is accurate, and then you can support everything that's on your tax return, just so you aren't going through that every year. And like I said, every year it's stressful. It is very stressful when you're doing taxes. I deal with a lot of business owners during tax time, and they always say they hate doing taxes. It's very few that don't mind doing taxes. The ones that don't mind is the ones that's organized. They already paid their taxes. They planned it, they estimated it, so they already know how much they owe during the year. So when they're doing their taxes, they already know what to expect. That's where I want you guys to be. I want you to know already what expects, because when you're doing it at the last minute, it's too late to catch up. It's too late to apply tax strategies. You need to be applying those strategies before the year ends, because once the year ends, you can no longer apply a strategy. You're basically backtracking, and there's no way you can support a backtracked expense. So you just want to make sure that you're keeping in track with everything. And who's this? Why does this all matter? This all matters because we want your business to grow. This is all about scaling up. If you don't care about scaling up, then this is not for you. This information isn't for you. But this is for the people who is ready to scale up. You're sick of being unorganized. You want to know where your number is going. You want to be prepared. You want to learn how to budget. You're ready to apply for some grants. You're ready to apply for loans. You're ready to scale up in general. So this is for you. This is what I'm trying to prevent. I want you to be clear with your business. I want you to plan your taxes. I want you to estimate your taxes and be able to pay them, because that's all what counts. So if you're behind, remember, the goal is not to panic. You can always fix things. If you know you were behind this year and you know you're ready to grow, then fix it. Then it's ready to change. I have workshops that I'm going to be doing upcoming, where I'm teaching people how to prepare for the tax season. So once you prepare for the tax season, you actually know how to go forward and do all your books and what you should be looking for and what you should be tracking. So that's the goal. That's the goal, is to scale up. And the goal also is not letting things pile up. Piling up causes stress. We want less stress as business owners. We do not want any type of stress as a business owner. So keeping it, when you keep it to the side and do it only once a month, that causes stress. It's causing that panic stress, and we don't want that panic stress. It's everything is manageable, and everything is easy to do once you learn how to do it. It's just a consistent basis. It's something that you have to do in your business. And even if you're not good with numbers, I'm always tell you, the computer does everything. There's software that does all the numbers for you, so you don't have to know numbers. You just have to know how to categorize everything and know what you spent it on and know what you received that money on. That's the only thing you need to know. And after this live, I'll share the next steps of everything that you need to do in order to not cost yourself every tax season. Because remember, the goal is to scale up, not to pay taxes. It's not to get the most deductions that you can. And right now, there's going to be a lot of tax experts online. So I want to tell you about those tax experts. Those tax experts, those so-called tax experts, is not worried about your business growing. They don't care if your business is growing. They're just trying to get your likes and your shares and everything. They're trying to tell you to apply tax strategies that you should apply during the tax year. So you don't want to listen to them, because they're not worried about you growing. I'm worried about you growing. I want you to grow. I want you to scale. So I'm going to open this up for questions. I'm Tomorrow Knows Taxes. I hope you know what I know right now. But if you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. And I'm going to stay here for a few minutes to see if you guys have any questions. All right. So I don't see any questions coming through. Like I said, I'm using this new streaming app. So if you are putting things in and I am missing it, I do apologize. I'm going to get a little better at this app. Um, but right now, it is a learning experience. So this is my first live for 2026. So thank you guys for joining me today. Again, I am Tamara Knows Taxes. You can find me on all social media under Tamara Knows Taxes. I'll be live every Tuesday at 6:30, giving you some more dimes, dropping some more dimes, and or whatever I'm supposed to say, dropping some more tips and letting you know what I know. Again, I am Tamara Knows Taxes, and it was great being with you guys today.